Good afternoon. Welcome to this UPSC Current Affairs Decoding Emerging Current Issues lecture series from the Aakar Foundation. Okay. Again, we will discuss today some of the very important issues of national and international affairs from 19th and 20th January 2022. And you can download the PDF from the Aakar's Telegram channel. So please join with us and please comment and give us the feedback regarding your needs and so that we can improve. So let's start with our first issue regarding its silver line project of the Kerala. Okay, recently this infrastructure project of the Kerala government is in the news for various reasons. Okay, the silver line project of the Kerala, which is recently been in the news, has many implications which are being raised by the various scholars also. Let's try to understand first of all what is this silver line project and all about this silver line project. Okay, so context is that the Kerala cabinet gave the green light to begin the acquiring land for the silver line project. But what is this silver line project? It is basically the infrastructure project which will connect South and North Kerala, which will connect Southern and Northern Kerala, okay, through the railway line. So it is an infrastructure project which is being pushed by this LDF government in the Kerala, and the estimated cost of the project is estimated to be 63,940 crores. Okay, and it is considered as the biggest infrastructure project which will be carried out by the LDF government so far. So this silver line project, as I have told you, it's a semi-high railway project which is aimed at reducing the travel time between the state's northern and southern ends. Okay, we can see from here, this will be the railway line which will join the southern and northern ends from Thiruvananthapuram to Kasaragod. So this will be a railway line. It's a semi-high speed railway project, okay, connecting Thiruvananthapuram to Kasaragod. Okay, its length will be 532 kilometers. Okay, it will pass through 11 districts. Okay, the land required for it will be 1,226 hectares. Its speed will be 200 kilometers per hour. Its estimated cost here, as I have told you, it is revised, and construction period is 2020 to 2024. So travel time, how it will reduce the travel time? See, 4 hours from Thiruvananthapuram to Kasaragod at present, which is 14 to 12 hours. So from 12 to 14 hours, the timing will be reduced to your how much? 4 hours. So it will be reduced to 4 to 5 hours. Okay, so from Thiruvananthapuram to Kasaragod, the timing will be reduced from 12 to 14 to 4 to 5 years. Similarly, here you can see how the timing will be reduced. Okay, so you can see here distance from this Thiruvananthapuram. Okay, if we go from Thiruvananthapuram to Kollam, it will require 24 minutes. Okay, similarly for Thrissur, it will require 2 hours, and from Kasaragod it will require nearly 4 hours. Okay, so this is how the project will be there. Okay, the project entails building a semi-high speed railway corridor through the state, linking its southern and northern end. The line is proposed to be 529 kilometers long, covering 11 districts. I have just told you regarding this. Okay, now what are the environmental and socio-economic benefits that are being pushed or that has been told by the government? Is that the infrastructure project which will reduce the time. The environmental benefit will be that it will reduce the greenhouse gas emission from the reducing timing of the transport. So decongestion of the road traffic. So from road, people will people will be attracted towards this infrastructure products because of this reduction in timings. Okay, so traffic kam ho jayega, improvement in the air quality because of the reduction in the greenhouse gases. Reduction of the greenhouse gas, as I told you, lower noise impact will be there, minimum land required will be there, and reducing travel time will also increase the productivity of the people. It will boost the trade also. Okay, so this is how the benefits are being pushed or benefits has been told to the people of this infrastructure project. The current travel time on the existing Indian Railways network is 12 hours, but after this project, the timing will be reduced. The deadline for the project being executed by the Kerala Rail Development Corporation Limited is 2025. This KRDCL or K-Rail is a joint venture between the Kerala government and the Union Ministry of Railways. Okay, now what was the need of this project? So we just saw this project. What was the need of this project? As I just from the project itself, we can see the need was for reducing the travel time, reducing the greenhouse gas emissions, reducing the road traffic. So what is being said by the policy expert is that the existing railway infrastructure in the state cannot meet the demands of the future. So जैसे जैसे road traffic या जैसे जैसे population trade बढ़ेगा, तो उसके वजह से जो required infrastructure, road infrastructure, transport infrastructure जो लगेगा, वो existing infrastructure will not be able to cope with it. So we require some new infrastructure, and for that railway line project is very important. Most trains runs with an average speed of 45 km/h due to a lot of curves and bends. So due to lot of curves and bends like this, their speed is less, it requires greater time. But this silver line project will reduce the time. It will be a straight line, okay, and it will be it can take a significant load of traffic of the existing railway stretch and make the travel easier and faster for the commuter. So जो existing जो road traffic है वो कम हो जाएगा, एग्जिस्टिंग लोड है जो ये रेलवेज में भी जो एग्जिस्टिंग लोड है वो भी कम हो जाएगा ये इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट से, एंड दिस विल इन टर्न रिड्यूस द कंजेशन ऑन द रोड्स एंड हेल्प रिड्यूस द एक्सीडेंट्स एंड फैटेलिटीज. सो यू कैन जस्ट अंडरस्टैंड फ्रॉम इट्स बेनिफिट इटसेल्फ कि व्हाई इट वाज नीडेड. सो इट वाज नीडेड बिकॉज ऑफ ease in the transportation, because of present problems of road traffic, okay, and also taking into account the demands of the future. So what are the benefits as per the government put forward? Okay, so the government has given these arguments that it will reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. जैसे travel का time कम हो जाता है, so naturally it will lead to the lesser travel time or the lesser vehicle emissions. So naturally from vehicular emissions अगर कम होता है तो greenhouse gas emission भी कम हो जाएगा. It will help in the expansion of ro-ro services because of its coastal presence. ये कोस्टल एरिया में रहेगी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट, सो उसकी वजह से फिर कोस्टल एरिया के लिए भी बेनिफिट रहेगा इसका. ओके, इट विल बेनिफिट द it will boost the infrastructure in the coastal region, so rural services will get boost. It will produce employment opportunity. So naturally this infrastructure project, construction of these infrastructure projects and surrounding it, there will be new infrastructure emerging. Okay, so it will boost the employment opportunities. It will increase your trade, tourism. It will increase because of this many aspects of the employment, trade and employment. Then integrate airports and IT corridors and faster development of cities it passes through. Naturally, when the infrastructure of the road transport will be there, it will boost trade. It will connect your IT corridors in the Kerala, and faster development of the cities will take place because of the greater trade, employment opportunities, income of the people will be increased. Top class infrastructure will lead to the greater urbanization and industrialization, and because of this your city's growth will be boosted, will get momentum. Okay, so what's the present status of this Silver Line project? The ambitious project has got the fillip with the state cabinet formally giving the nod for the land acquisition. Land acquisition के लिए approval मिल चुका है. Okay, the administrative sanctions to get this 2100 crore from the Kerala Infrastructure Investment Fund Board. Okay, the central investment arm of the government has also given the nod by the cabinet. So from this Kerala Infrastructure Investment Fund Board के पास से जो फंड आने वाला था उसके लिए भी अभी कैबिनेट से अप्रूवल आया है. And central government has also given in principle approval for the project. So central government का भी कोई opposition नहीं है. So current present status है कि from the cabinet and from the state cabinet and from the central government. The project has been approved. Okay, now the execution will start with all the planning as per the planning and deadlines. But there are many voices that are being raised against the project, against this infrastructure project. See, it is on the coastal area. Okay, it is near the coastal area, and so naturally there will be some of the implications of this project for the ecology and environment. So ecological problems will be there as per some of the scholars like Sridharan. Okay, so what Mr. Sridharan is saying, that who was also a railway engineer, has played an important role in the metro development. He has described this proposed project as an invitation to the environmental disaster, mainly through the flooding. So flooding in the Kerala is one of the serious issue, and according to the scholars like Sridharan, the project infrastructure project will damage the ecology and flooding problem will get more serious. Okay, he had also expressed the surprises that the government has not yet made public the detailed project report. So he has raised the issue regarding the transparency of the project, because the state has not yet made public the detailed project report, which is a standard practice, which brings transparency to a large scale public infrastructure project. So what Mr. Sridharan is saying, the government is not transparent. Okay, government has not yet given to the public or made public the required information, the detailed project report. Okay, and so this is the argument put forward by this Sridharan. Then Professor Gadgil, he is also one of the environmental scholar. He is also raising the ecological concerns. He is saying that India's preeminent, who is a preeminent ecologist, he has spoken of the silver line being against the interest of the people and on the grounds of the ecological damage likely to be caused by it. Based on the unmatched knowledge of the Kerala's topography, he has a good knowledge of the Kerala's topography. He has both explained how this could happen and pointed out to the experience with the railway elsewhere in India that prediction is not mere speculation. So he is saying that ecological damage jo kuch hoga, wo he's criticizing the project based on his knowledge and experience of other railway projects and whatever experience that he has gained from them. So he is also criticizing this project as against the people and against the ecology. Okay, so this is one of the argument or one of the criticism against this project. And so many scholars are also calling this project as an anti-development. Okay, then next criticism that is being raised against the project is regarding its high cost. See, some of the scholars are raising the issue of cost concerns regarding the project. They are saying government is not telling the right cost. Government is not telling us the right cost, and because of which after project execution, government will suddenly increase the project cost. People will have to bear this increased cost, and also because that project will not be sustainable, project will be in the loss. This is one of the argument regarding the high cost. Okay, so the silver line project may end up as a white elephant because of the cost concerns. Okay, it is always difficult to figure out how much people are willing to pay for the new project, because you know the project will require a large finance, and government does not know till now how the people are going to pay for that. So it is said that it will be in the loss, and also government has not, you know, and other organization has not come up with the transparent estimation of the cost. So naturally the cost will be increased after its execution, and sudden increase in the cost will make it a loss. It will make it a project very difficult to handle. So naturally the profit from it will be reduced. So this will make the project, you know, merely making a loss, and as a will be seen as a white elephant, which will be difficult to maintain. So these are the arguments, and for that the scholars are raising the concerns regarding that whether it is anti-developmental project or not. Okay, So what is needed for the Kerala? The scholars are saying that instead of this project, the government should have focus on other public investment and public infrastructure projects. Okay, so there are several projects deserving the public investment, and among them would be transition to a steady power supply based green energy. So green energy based power supply, power infrastructure, okay, safe drinking water, urban sewerage, building infrastructure for the scientific disposal of the waste. Okay, so these are some of the very important concerns which government should focus on. These projects would address our most pressing needs today, yielding high social returns and contain the progressive environmental degradation in the state. So these are considered to be the alternative. But at the same time, given the infrastructure, silver line infrastructure project, whether government should adapt a democratic procedure, should involve the experts and expertise, and should should it should move ahead with technological solutions from the experts like Sridharan and Gadgil, and for that ecological concerns can be addressed, and also cost concern can also be addressed. Project should be made more transparent. So in this way, silver line project can also be made functional if government adopts a democratic approach, if government adopts a more transparent approach. Okay, requiring and if the government adopts a very proper uh, approach strategy for its implementation, a proper implementation, institutional support for that, proper financial support for that. Okay, if government adopts this approach, proper institutional approach, the silver line project can also be made functional. Okay, now let's move to the next issue of today's lecture series, which is building our manufacturing base. See, recently the mobile manufacturing sector has given us a ray of hope of how to build a strong manufacturing base, and government has taken very important steps, okay, regarding our mobile manufacturing capacity, okay, its development. So in this sector, in this context, it is said that the whatever the gains we have gained from our mobile manufacturing capacity experience, okay, by further building it, we can replicate this in other sectors, in other manufacturing sectors like automobile, textiles, and other important manufacturing fields. And from this experience, we can build a strong manufacturing base. So let's try to understand what are the various, steps taken by the government, what are the various lessons, and how can we move forward. So context is that mobile phone sector has a lessons for India's economy. A judicious mix of protection and incentives measures taken by the government has helped has helped expand its manufacturing base regarding the mobiles, and which can be replicated in other sector also. In China, this per capita GDP will be estimated to be 5 times that of India in 2022. So what is the central pillars of this Chinese economy? Strong Chinese economy is regarding its manufacturing base and its strong exports. So China is exporting a huge of its goods and products, okay, because of which it has expanded its economic network and clout in the global countries, because of which now countries are more looking towards China as a important trader. So India also need to make this manufacturing base very strong and boost its exports so that it can also trade with the world more effectively and competitively. Mobile phones and room air conditioner sectors in the recent times have shown us the formula for expansion of our manufacturing sector. So what were the measures that expanded our manufacturing base in the mobile and room air conditioner sectors? These were 100% automatic foreign direct investment, because of which foreign players came to India. They invested in the manufacturing capacity field, and because of which we gained a lot from that. Then levy of the import duties to protect local manufacturers. Okay, these will be the selective policy where needed. So by import duties, okay, we can protect our local manufacturers. Then phased manufacturing plan, manufacturing clusters, and production linked incentive schemes. These schemes have been important. They have proved important in making our manufacturing base very strong. We get phase manufacturing plan, manufacturing clusters, and production linked incentive schemes. उसका impact क्या हुआ है मोबाइल सेक्टर में? The telecom sector is now third largest sector in terms of FDI inflows, contributing 7.1% of the total FDI inflow. The sector has contributed directly to the 2.2 million employment. The sector is expected to contribute 8% to India's GDP in 2022 from 6.5% currently. Okay, our mobile phone manufacturing value has jumped more than 8 times from 0.27 trillion in 2013 and 14 to 2.2 trillion in 2020 and 21. So these are the very good outcomes from these measures. Okay, and Samsung runs the world's single largest location mobile handset manufacturing plant in Uttar Pradesh now. Okay, we have surpassed US and US Korea के आगे चले गए हैं हम to become the second largest manufacturer globally. So हमारा manufacturing capacity काफी हद तक बढ़ चुका है. We have surpassed the USA and South Korea. The next frontier for us is now हमने manufacturing capacity तो बढ़ा दी है. Now we will move to the boosting exports and increasing the value addition. Okay, our mobile phone exports are primarily limited to feature phones and low value smartphones. India must aim for significant increase in exports from current $4 billion, okay, to a much larger target. Okay, China का export अभी $200 billion है. Vietnam exports $60 billion worth of mobile phones. The PLI schemes, जो production linked intensive scheme है इंडिया की, it aims to achieve the same by allocating incentives of 410 billion for the mobile phones category over the next years. So हमने उस direction में export बढ़ाने के direction में हमने steps लेना शुरू कर दिया है. For that, production linked incentive scheme is important. Global giants है जो Samsung, Wistron and other domestic companies hai, they are also investing in India. So in this direction we are moving ahead. Our value addition in the mobile phone manufacturing is currently limited to the 15 and 20% versus more than 40% in China. So for that, you know, दो मोबाइल सेक्टर के जो पार्ट्स होते हैं जैसे कैमरा मॉड्यूल्स, बैटरीज, चार्जेस, पीसीबी असेंबलीज, उसका प्रोडक्शन इंडिया में बढ़ना चाहिए ताकि इंडिया में तैयार हुई जो चीजें हैं, जो प्रोडक्ट्स है, इट विल बी यूज्ड फॉर द मैन्युफैक्चरिंग ऑफ द मोबाइल फोन. उसके वजह से अपना वैल्यू एडिशन बढ़ जाएगा. ओके, दिस विल इंक्रीज अवर वैल्यू एडेड टू द चाइनीज वैल्यू टू द चाइनीज लेवल और द नेक्स्ट 5 years. ओके, चाइनीज के कंपैरिजन में हमारा वैल्यू एडिशन बढ़ सकता है. रूम एसी सेक्टर में भी हमने सेम स्ट्रेटेजी अपनाई थी. फेज मैन्युफैक्चरिंग स्कीम जो है, बैनिंग इंपोर्ट ऑफ द रेफ्रिजरेंट फील्ड एयर कंडीशनर्स, इंक्रीजिंग द इंपोर्ट ड्यूटी ऑन आरएसीज, रूम एयर कंडीशनर जिसको बोलते हैं, क्रिटिकल कंपोनेंट्स एंड पीएलआई स्कीम्स. ठीक है, तो ये जो मेजर्स गवर्नमेंट ने लिए थे उसकी वजह से रूम एयर कंडीशनर सेक्टर भी अभी काफी कैपेसिटी उसकी बढ़ चुकी है. फ्रॉम 2017 and 18 this room air conditioner imports have declined by 56% to 18 billion in 2020 and 21. So 56% ये मेजर्स लेने के बाद इंडिया का इंपोर्ट्स ड्रास्टिकली कम हो गया है. Okay, because of which now we have increased our own capacity and reduced our import dependence. So what is said here is that if you can replicate these policy measures, okay, like phase manufacturing scheme, production linked incentive scheme, so judicious mix of protection which is levying of import and incentives like production linked incentive schemes, 100% FDI, it has developed a manufacturing base, it has created jobs, it has turned a trade, India has turned a trade surplus because of that. So imagine an opportunity to replicate this success across the sectors, especially steel, automobile, auto components, toys, bulk drugs, technical textiles, food products, solar PV modules, and medical devices. So if we combine the same strategy where we boost the manufacturing capacity by production link incentive schemes, by FDI, by phase manufacturing policies, okay, and if we try to limit the imports through some restrictive policies like import duties, like banning of the some of the finished goods, this has to be taken very carefully, because otherwise it will lead to the WTO challenge. Okay, so if we do this, if we make the judicious use of the protectionist and incentivization policies, we can certainly make our manufacturing base more strong. So we can replicate these mobile sector policies, and we can implicate this room air conditioner sector policies to other sectors also like this, and from that we can increase our manufacturing base and we can grow further. Now let's turn to the last issue of today's, which is empowering the urban local body, which we call the reforming the urban local governance. Yesterday in one of the lecture we discussed the same issue regarding building a sound and functional urban India. In that we discussed in the context of the floods in the Chennai and Mumbai, and how our municipal corporations and urban local bodies are being neglected, and what are the impacts regarding that. What are the impacts of that is that poor planning, poor policy design, improper administration, and the cities look like this. Yesterday we discussed this issue. Okay, so further building on the issue, today a very good article has come in the Hindu newspaper. We'll try to discuss that. Okay, so in the recently Reserve Bank of India ने एक report जारी की है, which is called as a State Finances Study of the Budgets of 2021 and 22. So this is one of the report which is being released by the Reserve Bank of India. In that report, it is highlighted that the third tier of the government, that is जो municipal corporation, municipal councils और नगर पंचायत है, उसको हम local urban bodies और local urban government bodies भी कहते हैं. So this third tier government in India is playing a very important role to combat and to fight with this COVID-19 pandemic, but at the same time their finances have come under a severe strain. So ज़्यादा responsibility बढ़ गई, health responsibilities, employment, social security schemes, उसके वजह से local urban bodies की financial responsibilities बहुत बढ़ गई है, because of which the finances have come under the severe strain, forcing them to cut down expenditures and mobilize funding from the various sources. So capital expenditure पे बहुत strain आया है, because of which many projects के लिए पैसा बचा नहीं है अभी municipal corporations councils के पास. RBI survey of 221 municipal corporations. So 221 municipal corporations का जो सर्वे किया था RBI ने, उसके the survey has highlighted that more than 70% of this municipal corporation saw a decline in the revenues, naturally because of the lower household incomes, and because of this economic recession, the municipal corporations have not been able to collect the revenues. So it has 70% of these municipal corporations have seen this decline in the revenues. In contrast, their expenditure rose by 71%. So हेल्थ एक्सपेंडिचर, सोशल सिक्योरिटी के लिए जो एक्सपेंडिचर है वो बढ़ गया है, कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर थोड़ा कम हुआ है नेचुरली बिकॉज ऑफ द ग्रेटर कोविड पैंडेमिक, और रेवेन्यू भी कम हो चुका है. सो दीज बॉडीज आर नाउ अंडर इमेंस स्ट्रेन. RBI further commented that the functional autonomy of the civic bodies must increase and their governance structures strengthened. Yesterday we saw how the civic bodies have become very weak because state governments the state governments have not given them adequate power and finances. State government have not given adequate powers and finances, and because of this, these bodies have become very weak. The bodies have become very weak, and because of this, they are not able to respond properly to the needs of the people. RBI has highlighted this issue in its report that civic bodies, that means urban local bodies, must be given functional autonomy. They should be given powers and functions. They should be given finances, and their governance structure should be strengthened. They should be given more autonomy. They should be given more institutional support. They should work with more capacity. They should have their own manpower, which is capable. This could happen by empowering them financially through their resource availability. Okay, so issue क्या है? What is the issue? ये RBI ने तो ये suggestion दिया, but why this suggestion is being given? You know, let's try to understand the issues concerning these urban governments. First issue regarding concerning the urban local bodies is their very meager financial base. Okay, जो टैक्स है, जो पावर्स है म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन और म्युनिसिपल काउंसिल्स के, जो टैक्सेस के थ्रू जो वो रेवेन्यू रेस करते हैं, वो टैक्सेस बहुत कम है. दे आर नॉट हैविंग मच पावर टू इम्पोज टैक्सेस. मेनी ऑफ द पावर टू इम्पोज टैक्सेस हैव बीन टेकन बाय द स्टेट्स एंड सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट. सो उनके पास ज्यादा फाइनेंशियल पावर है ही नहीं, तो उनका फाइनेंशियल बेस यानी जो रेवेन्यू रेस करने की उनकी जो कैपेसिटी है वो बहुत कम है. RBI report also highlights the limited coverage of the property tax and its failure in shoring of the municipal corporation revenues. जो property tax जो है, from that revenue is very less, and property tax is also not implemented properly. Not all the households are under it. Or even OECD, Organization for the Economic Cooperation and Development, data show that India has the lowest property tax collection rate in the world. The property tax to GDP ratio is very less. So even OECD is saying that whatever property tax that is being imposed by this municipal corporation, it is very less. Its implementation, its base is very low. So their financial base is very weak. और पहले क्या होता था कि जो ऑक्ट्राय होता था, वो ऑक्ट्राय से बहुत सारा पैसा इनको मिलता था लोकल अर्बन बॉडीज को. पर अभी वो ऑक्ट्राय जो है, फॉर एग्जांपल पिंपरी चिंचवड एंड पुणे में, दे आर एग्जांपल्स ऑफ द वेरी टू हाई रेवेन्यू अर्निंग म्युनिसिपैलिटीज डिपेंडेंट ऑन ऑक्ट्राय. बट अभी क्या हुआ, बाद में क्या हुआ कि दिस सोर्स ऑफ द रेवेन्यू कलेक्शन वाज टेकन अवे बाय द स्टेट एंड द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट. सो ऑक्ट्राय से पैसा मिलना भी बंद हो गया. और अभी जीएसटी आने के बाद क्या हुआ है कि एबिलिटी टू जो पावर्स है वो सेंट्रल और स्टेट के पास चले गए हैं, और अर्बन लोकल बॉडीज के पास के पावर्स अभी बहुत कम हो चुके हैं. सो द एबिलिटी टू टैक्स हैज बीन कंप्लीटली रॉब्ड. सिटीज हैव फाइंड देमसेल्व्स इन अ वर्स स्टेट देन states. So urban local bodies are now finding themselves having very less powers. Okay, goods and services taxes had taken away their powers, and because of which they are suffering. अभी स्कैंडिनेवियन कंट्रीज जो है, उनका एक्सपीरियंस अगर हम देखें तो उनका फाइनेंशियल बेस बहुत अच्छा है. The often cited example is how the cities in the Scandinavian countries manage their functions well, from the city planning to the mobility to the waste management. ये क्यों होता है? The truth is that chunk of the income tax from the citizen is given to the city government. So income tax जितना भी कलेक्ट होता है कंट्रीज का, वो टैक्स ज्यादा से ज्यादा इस अर्बन लोकल बॉडीज को दे दिया जाता है, बिकॉज ऑफ विच दे कैन हैव ग्रेटर फाइनेंसेस एंड सो दैट दे कैन फंक्शन वेल. ओके, so this is the reason that your financial base should be strong, and that is why RBI is saying that the financial capacity, empower them through the financial capacity. Okay, now subordinate treatment. What do you mean by subordinate treatment? State government जो है, state governments are not giving them adequate powers, but state governments are merely seeing these urban local bodies as their administrative arm. जैसे कोई एक पॉलिसी इंप्लीमेंट करना है तो उनको बोल दिया कि ये लोकल अर्बन बॉडी इंप्लीमेंट कर देगी. अरे बट these are not just the administrative bodies, these are not the subordinate bodies, these are the local governments. You should treat them as the government, you should treat them as the pillar of the governance. So they should have the autonomy, they should have their own powers, they should have their own functions, and they should have their own man powers. So उसको 3F से एम्पावर करने की बहुत जरूरत है। आज म्युनिसिपल कॉरपोरेशंस के पास ना पावर्स है, ना फंक्शंस है, ना फंक्शनरीज है। सो 3 Fs जो वेरी नेसेसरी फॉर empowering the local government is that there should be proper transfer of functions, there should be proper transfer of finances, there should be proper transfer of functionaries, that is manpower. But आज क्या स्थिति है, what is the situation today? Hardly any state has devolved all the functions mentioned in the constitution. 74th amendment में जो subjects दिए गए हैं which state government must give to the city governments, state governments have not given this power to the state governments, not given these functions to the state government as to the city governments. So state governments are reluctant to give them proper functions. They do not have control over the government functionaries. These government functionaries remain under the control of the state, and city governments इनके ऊपर फिर डिपेंडेंट रहती है, लेकिन ये स्टेट गवर्नमेंट के अंडर आते हैं, तो सिटी गवर्नमेंट के लिए ये रिस्पॉन्सिव नहीं रहते. They don't act responsibly to the city government demands. So neither proper functions is devolved, neither proper functionaries are devolved, nor finances are devolved. Rather, city governments are merely treated as a subordinate bodies. So what is the way ahead? See, our urban population is growing and its contribution to the GDP is a lot. Nearly 2/3 of the country's GDP comes from the cities. उसके लिए सिटी गवर्नमेंट को एम्पावर करना बहुत जरूरी है. हम अपने अर्बन इंडिया को निग्लेक्ट नहीं कर सकते. So what are the way forwards for that? So firstly, you have to strengthen the governance structure. Cities must be treated as an important centers of the governance, where democratic decentralization can bring in amazing results like Kerala. Kerala model is very good. Okay, Kerala is a very good model of the urban governance. So what is said here is that you should give them proper functions, finances, and functionaries. 3 Fs. Decentralization means 3 Fs should be given to them: functions, finances, and functionaries. Second, cities should not be considered as merely entrepreneurship spaces, यहाँ पे कुछ बिजनेस हम कर सके, ऐसा नहीं है. We have seen how this idea is failing. They must be considered as a spaces for a planned development. So ये cities केवल growth के लिए नहीं है. Cities are not merely growth engines. Rather, they are the pillars. They are the center of the governance. उसका planned development होना चाहिए. So state government should see cities or the urban areas as an pillar of the governance, as they are the local governments. So there should be a proper institutional mechanism for planned development of the cities. Okay, उसके लिए फिर से वही है, 3 Fs devolve करना चाहिए. Then piecemeal approach such as concept of the smart cities must be shunned together. ये जो एक स्मार्ट सिटीज का कंसेप्ट आता है, उसके वजह से क्या होता है, सिटी का एक आधा जो रीजन है वो अच्छा हो जाता है और बाकी का रीजन निग्लेक्ट हो जाता है. ठीक है, और उसके वजह से कुछ सिटीज को प्राधान्य मिला है, कुछ सिटीज स्मार्ट सिटीज बन गई है और बाकी के सिटीज को कोई रिस्पॉन्स है ही नहीं. रादर देन such piecemeal approach like a smart cities, we should widen our approach. The approach further widens the gap between the sets of the people, just मैंने जो आपको बताया. So rather, grants from the center must be enhanced and cities asked to drop their own plans based on priority seeking from the people residents. So planning procedure जो है वो participatory होना चाहिए. एक स्मार्ट सिटी का कंसेप्ट जो है वो थोड़ा सा वाइडर एस्पेक्ट से हमको इम्प्लीमेंट करना चाहिए. सारी सिटीज को स्मार्ट सिटीज बनाना चाहिए और उसके लिए रेसिडेंट्स का पार्टिसिपेशन बहुत जरूरी है. सिटीज आर बेसिकली पीपल, they should be the center of the planning and execution. So firstly, you should have a decentralization. After that, you should build proper institutions, planning institutions, and in that planning institutions, people's role will be very important. Empower the people for that. And lastly, leadership in the cities must be elected for a term of 5 years. So local government के जो leaders होते हैं, mayor जिसको बोलते हैं, he should be given importance, he should have a proper tenure, he should have a security of tenure, he should be having sufficient powers, and with the term of the 5 years he should be empowered to take the decisions. कुछ cities में आज भी उनका term 5 years नहीं होता है, बहुत कम होता है, 1 साल का वगैरह होता है. सो लाइकवाइज फंक्शनरीज शुड बी गिवन. सो ये जो मेयर को एम्पावर करने के साथ साथ बाकी का मैन पावर भी अच्छे से ट्रेंड और कैपेबल करना चाहिए. फॉर दैट स्टेट गवर्नमेंट मस्ट बी विलिंग टू मूव अहेड एंड शुड implement the democratic decentralization scheme given in our 74th Amendment Act. So these were some of the important issues that we discussed today. Okay. We will meet again tomorrow to discuss the editorials of some of the important newspapers. Till then, goodbye. Take care.